An old barkeep is overheard telling us a tale he once heard about Rexak Zygar. In his younger years, before Rexak Zygar became an archmage, at the beginning of his career, around the age of 20, he was already a promising young mage. A coven of witches had foreseen a prophecy about the young mage who was gifted with a 1-in-a-million unique talent. The prophecy stated that Rexak Zygar would become the most powerful archmage ever. The coven of witches hid away the prophecy in hopes they could discover a way to redirect his fate to a member of their coven. One of the young witches in the coven befriended the young Rexak Zygar and made a blood pact with him in the false pretense of professing her undying love. Having secured the blood pact under false pretense, she put herself at great risk, for not only would his fate be cemented as archmage, but the entire power behind the coven would also become his. The witches took drastic measures to hide this terrible secret, but to no avail. You see, the reason the coven chose a blood pact was because they could not fathom the possibility that the young mage would choose to break it. It turns out, young Rexak Zygar was far more prepared for such a possibility than any of the coven could possibly have imagined. Everyone knows the penalty for breaking a blood pact is the offender will face the pain of living through 31 years of crippling, insufferable pain in the span of 31 seconds. But Rexak Zygar was no stranger to pain, for he had been nursing his aged mother's pain through the use of his unique magical talent since the tender age of 5. By the time he was a teenager, he could reduce all the pain in his mother's fragile old body to a minimal pinch or cramp. At 21, he had learned not only the magic to almost nullify pain, he was a master of alchemizing it and transmuting it. So when word of the coven's secret plan to steal his fate eventually made it to his ears, Rexak Zygar broke the pact. It is said that even with his unique talents, the city was chilled by the torturous, agonizing screams that Rexak Zygar emitted for the 31 seconds that evening. Some say it sounded like a piece of his soul died every single second. Somehow he survived that ordeal, and the flow of an entire coven of magic suddenly coursed into his body. Those who witnessed it said it felt like watching an angel being born. And so the wicked false blood pact unfurled, and so the karma began. Each witch in the coven suddenly, quietly, felt their connection to magic dwindle and fade in that moment. Some fainted, others lost their minds. Quietly, those remaining witches in the coven, bereft of any connection to magic as the dawn arose, chose to leave the city. Some say you can still find the coven hiding away deep in the swamp, trying to find some way to reconnect to the magic, desperate to feel its flow once again, all due to the betrayal they sought to hide in order to steal the fate and power of another. And that is why we tell this tale, young one, as a warning against the evils of jealousy.